Hello, everyone. Sorry we are late, but we are not late. Technically, it was my fault. So, Paul, do not get on Paul. It was on me this time. I apologize. Everyone, welcome. IT Live, brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. I am Texas Homer. That's the aforementioned Paul. And we're going to break down the Michigan Wolverines. But first, I want you to head over to Inside Texas. 50% off right now. The Ultimate Fan Bundle. You get Inside Texas, On 3, and Rivals all together. 1 year. Half the price. Incredible stuff. Hey, Paul. We're back in game mode now. It's been nice the past 3 weeks just talking about Muschamp, but now we need to go get a win. So let's discuss. We have some numbers here, the usual numbers. We'll give you all the caveats. But Michigan's opt-out numbers didn't end up anywhere where I thought they would be, at least meaningfully, amongst the starters. So their numbers to me in a lot of ways are more accurate than I thought they would be going forward. Any quick thoughts there, Paul?
Many fewer opt-outs than we'll have. They'll have a much more complete roster than we do. I'll just tell you, bury the lead, right? If the two teams played full strength, I would confidently bet Texas by margin. Mm-hmm. But we're going to be down to 6 starters on defense, and we're going to be down a little bit on offense, not quite as much, right? Obviously, we don't lose a lot of explosiveness with the departure of our running backs, but we do lose experience. We do lose some blitz pickup, which is relevant. Wake Martindale, this is going to be his last game coaching at Michigan as a defensive coordinator. My guess is he's going to go out on his shield, and he's going to be attacking the Texas pass protection. He's going to attack left guard center, and he's going to attack the running back, whoever's back there. So it's going to be an interesting challenge. I think 2 weeks ago, we thought this was an auto win with all the turmoil in the Michigan program. Doesn't look that way now. And in fact, on game day, they'll be glad they jettisoned Sharon Moore because that guy was a game day dummy. So I think actually this game is going to be a lot of fun, along with Iowa Vanderbilt, probably the best non-playoff bowl game that you'll see in the slate.
I agree 100%. Yeah, going through the numbers and then watching the All-22 yesterday, I was like, oh, no, they're definitely better than I thought with less question marks. All righty here. Our final chart of the year, Paul. Very sad.
Sad.
Very sad.
Wait, if we win this bowl, don't we play more?
Yeah. In our hearts, we do, man.
Okay. All right.
In our hearts. So, Texas offense, this Texas defense is going to be a little bit tricky on the defensive side for Texas. I just more want to talk about what the offense has had success with Michigan because there's a lot of no Taff, no Hill. We can't really project that. So it's not so much about who holds the advantage traditionally. This is just a rubric so we can kind of talk through what Michigan is on offense and their strengths and weaknesses there.
I had a rubric wall behind me that you made me take down.
I didn't make you take it. This is the one time that I didn't make you take it down. All right. Points per game, 57th, but first thing I noticed is plays per game, 113th, 93rd in seconds per play, 81st in time of possession, though. So they're slow, but they're not always holding the ball slow effectively either. But their play style is a slower style. All right, Paul, thank you for that. All right, and then yards per play, they are 23rd. So they're doing okay here. I did not expect to see any of these numbers for the offense with Michigan, more in the run, but they've been more solid.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first Michigan team in a while where the offense has been better than their defense consistently, at least in advanced statistics, right? So that's going to be curious. And I mean, not to cut right to the chase here, but it's the fact it's their running game. It's very explosive, but they don't have a lot of havoc. They don't give up havoc, whether sacks or negative plays, tackles for loss. And that's the secret sauce, right? That's the combo that you would like in the modern college running game. Everything else they do is pretty mid, but the running game has been pretty special. So, and I think that's a little bit of a surprise because they're starting 3 redshirt freshmen on their offensive line. There's a school of thought that you need, 5-6 year seniors on your offensive line to field a coherent O-line, and it's just not the case.
So success rate, moving the ball forward, 24th in the country. They've been really good there at just moving forward. You'll see in the run game how much of that is thanks to the line. Explosiveness, 130th. So overall, not doing a lot in that regard. But to me, this is a pretty safe offense. And you'll see it in the run game. They'll have Paul points out it's called the Ogre package. I didn't know that's what they called it, but they have their very super heavy personnel sets, but they go more spread than you realize. So when you think Michigan, you think very heavy, but truthfully, they're only in these 12 personnel and bigger about 30% of the time. So they're 11 personnel about 60% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see them, they'll go into these series of very heavy. You can tell the decision happened on the sideline. This series, we're going big. And they'll come out and test you on it. Now, if it doesn't work, they'll go right back to 11, but they're far more spread than people understand, but they'll still run effectively from that spread. So it's not all Big Ten-ian football, but they're not super effective in with their wide receivers. And Paul will know their personnel better than I. I know kind of their global stuff better right now, but that's going to be the key. We'll talk about defending Andrew Marsh and stuff like that, but it's really going to be a run game thing. So explosiveness, not great there. They're actually just moving forward, but they're keeping their havoc rates low. 11th overall, 23rd on the front seven, and 16th. So safe, plotting, forward-moving offense. When they give the ball to Bryce, he's going to throw a single read. It's nothing crazy. The run game has cool wrinkles in it, but overall, pretty safe style here. So here's the rushing offense for Michigan, what I think is interesting. 12th in success rate, moving the ball forward really well. 73rd in rushing explosivity. They'll get a lot of their explosive stuff is going to come from when you misfit your gap eventually, which you will. So you'll see that 2 times a game, and they generally do it to the boundary is how they crease people. I noticed when they played better teams, they would go trips out here, get the whole defense out here, and then hit that B gap that I think normally a safety is responsible for. And that's how they were gashing a lot of the stuff.
This number surprises me anecdotally, because when I did watch Michigan, the few times I did, because they didn't have the most watchable schedule, they hit big plays in the running game in all those games. So they must have not done so against Purdue and Northwestern and a bunch of other games. So I'm surprised because Marshall's averaging 6.2 yards per carry. Haynes, who's not going to play, was averaging over 7 yards per carry. So, they were busting some runs, but I think one thing that is relevant is Marshall, who's their leading rusher. So people are talking about Justice Haynes being out, being a big deal. Marshall's about as good. He has 20 runs of 10 yards or more. So to me, that's explosive, but maybe a lot of those runs are for 17, 14, 13. But still adds up, and it still hurts your defense.
Well, I think when you hear about their high numbers, they're one of the true ones. Me and Ian, got into this. Ian doesn't trust Yak or whatever because it'll skew for explosive runners, right?
Yeah,
and it's a true critique of it. Of course, Ian doesn't ever leverage he goes to the extremes of the argument no matter what. Nobody's running all home runs and no one's getting stuff behind the line every time.
If you want to embarrass Ian, we can delve into the anecdote of me having to explain how coin flip probability works
so
for half an hour.
But I think these guys are one of your true, they have 6 yards per carry because they're averaging closer to actual just 6 yards per carry. Yep. They're getting long, consistent good runs more often. It's not all or nothing style running with a scat back or something like that. So, and you see that here, yards per rush, they're 7th, really consistent here. What I think is showing you how good this offensive line is for them, yards before contact, they're 6th in the country.
Yep.
So yards after, they're 39th. It's not bad. That's a good number. But really, a lot of backs are going to look real nice in this system on top of them having good backs. But this offensive line, and you can see it on the film, they move well, man. When they pull, they're athletic, they're decisive. It's just a well-coached offensive line. The athletes are strong. They have the right mental focus they're just mean. And so I really, really like the Michigan run game. And we can talk about that too, Paul. They're pretty creative. They're still going to run counter at the end. Mm-hmm. But how they get there is a lot of motion, and I would call it eye candy, but it's actually not eye candy. The motion is helping the run scheme.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, this offensive coordinator, the interim, Steve Kasula, is going to be coaching just this game. So he's trying to put something on tape to go get hired at another job, right?
Yeah.
And Underwood can run. It's a bowl game. If he gets a little dinged up, they've got a whole offseason to heal. So I would say, looking at Texas, just flipping the battlefield here, we're down Trey Moore and Ethan Burke, two very experienced edges. We are down to every linebacker. So I would run a lot of misdirection, and I would employ DJ Underwood running the ball as an option going around the edge, because there's a good chance we're going to misfit some of that, whether from the 6-0 line, 13 personnel type, big sets, or when they spread us out and run the ball. I think there's a good chance for us to misfit the run or get really sloppy on the edge, which we've had a propensity to do. If you guys,
with our
current theme on the defensive breakdown film study with Jet and Kelson is, hey, we're not always playing the edge great. And I just got to think Michigan's looking at that and saying, that is our edge, no pun intended. So I would expect them to hammer that.
Like you said, when they go ogre, they have 50 guys on the line. So now you're bringing safeties up. And Jelani, if he's an athlete and he fires like a missile through that gap, he'll hit you. Sometimes he misses. And that's where a lot of the boundary runs have came, is from the down safety to the boundary side getting exploited. So they're going to force everyone to gap out, and they're going to force you into single high is what they're trying to do. Now, they don't take great advantage of it. They get a lot of single high because of how heavy they run stuff. So I don't know if they're going to want Jelani as a single high safety at that point. But we've seen problems with this, is my point. And as Paul has pointed out, and their style is going to try to say, hey, are you guys sound right now?
Who is starting at our other safety?
I would assume Filsamy.
Yikes.
Yeah.
In terms of just tackling and like filling a gap.
Yep.
That's a little scary.
They're going to bring you down. I mean, because we were a single high anyways. Because if you, the key to them is to play them too high, but still stop the run.
Given their passing game and its limitations, I'd be much more tempted to play a more reliable tackler or a very physical guy like Jonah Williams or Rubel, and just keep their life very simple and give all the complexity to Jelani. I don't know about Phil Same out there, but he might have had his performance tainted by the lack of coaching, and ultimately that's why we fired some guys. But boy, that Michigan isn't the team necessarily I want to showcase Phil Same as like gap filler guy.
Yeah, and you see the Texas D rank, like we've been really good run defenders, but that goes all out the window because we have so much of a personnel change. And some of this is just going to be soundness. If Texas is sound, you have a way better chance. But if you let them get all these, first off, you can't let them get the consistent 6-yarders they do anyways. But I'm worried about the 2 or 3 times they have potential to house it. So key to the defense to me is stopping this run game that's been really sound for Michigan. Offensive line still showing off. They're 16th in offensive line yards. They're 22nd in power success rate. So 3rd and shorts, 4th and shorts. The offensive line has done well. And they're really good at stuff rate. Their backs aren't getting behind the line. So heroes of the Michigan offense are, once again, the offensive line. It's not shocking stuff. Passing plays. So they don't pass a lot. They're more of a running offense. And they protect Underwood. It might be the correct amount. They see him in practice, right? But to me, it feels they are incredibly protectionist. And so Underwood has single read seams if he's going deeper, or it's single read fade.
Yep.
But there's no progression occurring.
There's no route tree.
There's no route tree. It's just, and he will throw it regardless. His arm is really special. I've seen him throw into triple coverage several times and nail it.
Yeah.
Like between 3 bodies, the guy goes up and catch it. You would never advise a quarterback to throw that ball, but Underwood's not, he's deciding pre-snap if that ball is going to be thrown, but he can get it there a lot of the times, and that's frustrating.
Well, that's enabled by the guy who's really had the most pulse in their passing game, which is true freshman Andrew Marsh. So Marsh, his secret power, amazing body control and hands. And when he's covered, he's not covered. So there are multiple, and I go on Inside Texas and read the article that I posted because I posted some of those throws. Marsh is completely blanketed, and he wraps around the defender and catches it behind his back and does all sorts of stuff. So he's a guy that you just have to kind of live with him making a couple of miracle throws, which you can't concede are the busts, right?
Yeah.
If Texas doesn't bust in our pass defense, we're good. We're fine.
You can let them have 3 or 4 of those. Yeah, it's not.
You're not going to lose a game because a guy makes a miraculous 14-yard grab. It's just that's not how it works.
Yep.
What you're going to lose the game is, giving up 40 and 50 yarders because guys are like, I thought you had the switch. We can't do all that nonsense. And we certainly stopped all that against A&M. So there's no reason not to just play pretty simply on defense and just try to execute, because that's really what this game's going to be about. Just, super cliche, but Michigan, ultimately, they do some neat creative stuff in their run game. Their passing game is about as basic as it gets.
Yeah, Underwood will single read, seam or fade if they're going for something of depth. If not, Underwood will roll out and throw to the lower receiver and whatever. If it's flood or something like that, they'll roll him out. But it's not very advanced, and they have him on a super leash offensively, and that's going to be a big key. And he can run. Now he's not a runner, but he can run. He has all the requisite athleticism, but he's a pass first guy. When he's rolling out, he's looking to make the pass. He's not going to try to run it unless he absolutely has to. So passing success rate, they're okay at 50%. They can check it down. They can get it to their backs. They can do that. Where they're going to struggle is passing explosivity here. For a team that forces so much single high, man, they don't take advantage of that at all.
They can't. They don't have the personnel.
Yeah. And it's a bummer because they get some of the, like, I'll look pre-snap on the all-22. I'm like, you have the best look for touchdowns galore downfield, and they don't get it there. And they don't throw it a lot either. Now, that can be a flip side, right? If they don't throw it a lot, you can fall asleep. But the passing offense is nothing special right now at Michigan, are my famous last words.
He can run hot and cold. So he started all 12 games for Michigan. And recall, he's a true freshman. So obviously take that into account. Underwood probably has a lot of upside. But he had 5 games with 150 passing yards or fewer, including 2 under 100. Against Ohio State, he threw for like 70 yards. So
yeah, he had no attempts. It was crazy.
Well, they just shut him down. Like there were no looks. So just know that he is capable of going out there and being a non-factor. But if we blow coverages, if we do dumb stuff, he can become a factor and he can heat up and certainly.
If we return to pre-A&M, where the middle of the field, I mean, that's what he's going to do. He's a young quarterback. That's the easiest throw to make. So if we just keep vacating the middle of the field, that's why we love Muschamp, because you just don't see it happen in these match teams.
No.
And so A&M, Paul's more rosy that the A&M was sign of things to come. I've been hurt too many times.
I'm shocked that you're pessimistic.
Yeah, it's shocking, right? But that's and Nansen factor, right? What does Nansen do? Because we know Nansen's more aggressive, but I don't think this is an aggressive game. I think this is, hey, do your job game, and you'll be fine. Okay, QB sack percentage, 68th. That number is surprising to me because of the offensive line. I think that must be an Underwood holding the ball too long thing, potentially.
It's 2 things. Underwood holding the ball. Well, 3 things. Underwood holding the ball. The Michigan receivers not separating. And then third, they start 2 redshirt freshmen at tackle.
And they had Evan Link, right? And then Frazier took over for him.
Yes. So Frazier's the left tackle. Sprague is the right tackle.
Yeah.
I love Colin Simmons on the right tackle. Just like the A&M game. I want to reprise that. Sprague is 6'8", 315, and he doesn't have super fast feet. He uses his length to basically get people strong-armed and to keep them off the quarterback. Colin Simmons is way too fast and way too explosive.
Have you noticed his stance?
Yes.
He is so high. The whole rest of the Michigan line is down. He doesn't have good bend because of his size. And Simmons can wrap that easy.
Simmons can burrow under him. So so people love length at edge for obvious reasons, right? There's a point, though, where if a guy's really tall and he doesn't have good bend and great feet, and you've got a super fast but compact edge rusher, he can actually play under that offensive tackle's hands.
Yeah.
And that's what Colin Simmons can do. Texas has got to get Colin Simmons on that side. And then the other guy, Blake Frazier, has pretty good feet and he's athletic, but he's young. He's 6'6", 290, 295. I want Lance Jackson bull rushing him. I want Justice Terry bull rushing him. I want Zena Omiazulu bull rushing him on every play. So when they're in third and predictable, we have got to bring it on the edges because that is where Michigan's vulnerable. And Underwood, he's a young quarterback. His receivers don't always break open early. He's going to panic and potentially put the ball at risk.
First and second downs are going to be huge because we'll see later. They're actually really good at staying in standard.
We've got to put them in 3rd and 7.
Yeah, you got to get them behind the sticks. So their OFEI is 17th. Once again, did not expect to see that.
It's better than their D. Their D is 33rd.
Yeah. And yeah, I just did not expect to see that because when I watched them versus OU, and keep in mind, that was early in the season, and OU is a really good defense. But I was like, what the hell is this? But they've had a lot more growth throughout the season than I expected, I guess. Like we just said, standard downs rate, they're 23rd. That's really good. They're in a lot of solid situations, and that's why they're able to keep this thing on the tracks. Now, if they're a bunch of third downs, Bryce Underwood's not ready for the show. That or there's too protective of him, but I think the coaches are probably being reasonable in making this a safe offense because he's still incredibly single read. So get them into those downs because when they are in the downs, passing downs, they do drop. Their success rate drops to 59th compared to 19th in standard downs. Early downs EPA, they've been solid there. 14.
Look at red zone.
Yeah, that's the huge. You're like, what's going on there? The third down to fourth down difference is jarring. Third down percentage, they're 18th, and then fourth down, they're 136th.
I think that's play calling.
Yeah.
Chip Lindsey, the old OC, is gone. He was an improvement over the prior year, but Chip Lindsey's not a good offensive coordinator. So I think a lot of that's creativity and play calling. And, you get in those tense moments, you don't have the best play call, and you got a young quarterback. It's not the best executional script for fourth.
Well, you would think with an offensive line that has that good yards before carry, you think they would be able to still get you the 3 yards before you're touched into the end zone. So that's why I think it's weird with a rushing offense that's pretty sound. I would expect that number to be higher, more of line up and go and get it, but I guess not. Sacks allowed, they're 35th. Interceptions thrown per game, 30th. He doesn't throw the ball a lot, and when they do, it's very predetermined. It's not a lot of – he's not thinking a lot. So
here's a crazy stat. Do you happen to know off the top of your head how many touchdowns he has on the season passing?
No idea.
9.
I read your article, but
that's terrible. I mean, that's nothing, right? So 9 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. The 6 interceptions is decent, right? He's not putting the ball in peril a ton, but boy, there's not a lot happening with that pass game. And I got to think that's part of it, Connor, as you were saying, why can't they just power it in the red zone? I think teams go 11 on the line of scrimmage in the red zone and say, throw it in, Underwood. And they don't trust him to throw it in.
Yeah, it's not like they have a receiver that you're just like, go win one-on-one. Like they were doing with Jeremiah Smith in their game. They would just split. They would put everyone on the line, split Jeremiah Smith against is it Zeke Berry? And just let him go to work. But low on tackles for loss allowed. They were 41st in returning production. Doesn't really mean much in a bowl game. But overall, it's a very safe offense. Their identity is in the run game. Bryce Underwood, when he does pass, are incredibly simple concepts. He has a great arm, but he's nowhere near the ability to be a commander. So that's going to be the big thing. As long as you're sound in coverage and you're not leaving wide open pre-snap reads for him, should be fine. Let him make a couple nice throws that the NFL scouts will like. They won't win the game because of it. But more importantly, don't let them get 40-yard runs because they created an E gap and you didn't have a guy for it. That's the big key for me. All right, before we hit the defense, let's hear a quick word from Academy.
Fast one.
Same-day delivery powered by DoorDash.
Told you it was very quick.
Oh, wow.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Before we talk about the Michigan defense, do we want to talk about the gentleman you need to go on the offense with?
No, not yet, because we just did an ad read. You have to wait a little bit. We can't.
That ad read was 9 seconds.
We can't do a double back-to-back.
What if I do it in 18 seconds?
Yeah, if you do it in 18 seconds.
All right, I'm going to do it right now.
We'll get no.
Yes.
No, Gabe deserves much more than that.
He doesn't deserve that much.
All right. Michigan defense. Some interesting things here. Not as good as you would think, but once again, we're talking relative to the top of the sport. They're still a good defense. Okay. Opponents' points per game is solid. They are 13th. That matters because points are how you win the game. They're doing all right in their pacing stuff here. I don't see anything too crazy. Yeah, nothing weird there. All right, opponent yards per play, they're 15th. That's good. D points per drive, 27th. Pretty good. What gets them is actually success rate. So their explosivity numbers are pretty solid. Now, if you watch Ohio State, you're going to feel differently because you're going to see Jeremiah Smith get one. You're going to see Carnell Tate take advantage of split safety defense, run at the other safety, and then thumb route out and catch it. So Ohio State will give you a bad interpretation of this. Also, it's when you have Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate, it helps. But they've been pretty good at actually keeping a lid on things, and they play a bunch of too high, and they play a bunch of zone. And it's even though it's aggressive with his pressures, he runs zone pressures and all of that stuff. Ultimately, the defense is to keep everything in front. They don't want you to get behind them. That's the big key. So 6th in explosivity, and they're okay in the havoc stuff. They get a good amount of front seven work and a good amount of DBs messing with stuff, but not like elite when you're seeing teams that are top 3 and you have to be shaking in your boots about it. Anything overall, Paul, before we segment them down?
Yeah. Michigan played a pretty trash schedule, and the 4 teams they played with a pulse, they went 1-3.
Yeah.
And the 3 losses were by double digits. In 3 of those games, their defense struggled. So they struggled against USC, actually lit them up.
I watched that. I watched USC offense versus their defense.
It's not reflected in the final. I mean, 31 is great, but it felt like it should have been 45.
Yep.
OU actually had some success against them with a pretty mid offense. And then they actually handled Washington pretty well. That was not surprising because Washington is kind of like skill guys and not very good line play, and Michigan took advantage there. And then, frankly, Ohio State didn't put up a bunch of points. That game was by margin. Like, it was a clear and convincing win. So I would say that the thing that is relevant, and this is where the opt-outs for Michigan do matter, they've lost their 2 best athletes on that defense. That's Barham, who played outside linebacker, but really did most of his play from the edge, although he did blitz from the second level. And then Derek Moore, who's the superstar of their defense. He led them in pressures, led them in sacks, led them in quarterback hurries, quarterback hits. He is probably going to be like a second-round draft pick, maybe late first. But he is a good player. He's opting out. And then Jayshawn Barham is one of these guys that he played well, but he's also a freak athlete. So watch the combine. He's going to test really well. Ernest Hausman was their Mike linebacker for most of the year, and then he had a religious experience that soured him on football, and he's not with the team anymore. I don't know what's going on.
I went with mental health for the note on why he would not.
Maybe it was pure revelation. Maybe
he got the real thing.
Maybe he's going to walk the earth like Kane in Kung Fu. But
yeah, good for him.
Cole Sullivan is going to replace him. He's kind of like a heady guy at linebacker. Jimmy Rolder's a good player. The thing about their defense you notice is, other than Moore and arguably Barham, they've got a bunch of NFL guys, but they're kind of like 5th round NFL guys. Like Rayshon Benny, he'll be like a 4th rounder, right? Guys like Rolder, probably like a 5th rounder. So it's a contrast to the Michigan defense of the last 2 or 3 years, where it's like first rounder. They still have NFL talent and they've still got some guys, but they're not that elite of elite sort of guys. And you can see it in their team speed sometimes. They're not super fast. I wouldn't call them slow, but there's a reason they try to keep stuff in front of them. And the thing about Wink Martindale, if you bring a pretty good game plan as an offensive coordinator and really attack those zone blitzes and his tendencies, he can be had. And, Sark certainly had success with him the first time they met.
So the Derek Moore Barham thing is their base is a 3-4. So they have the 2 inside linebackers that Paul mentioned, but those guys are on the edge when they play. Now, they're very predictable. Whatever person, they're going to match you personnel, obviously. So Ohio State kept going heavy and forcing them into 3-4, and then they would just chunk it out to the flats.
Yep.
So Ian picked up on this in his articles too. That was my thinking. So your first thought is like, well, do you want to spread these guys out? But you get such predictable, slower players when you go heavy versus them. Now, the difference is And I have to see, some of these backs are very new. Michael Terry might be fat, but the real key, and Ohio State did this to death, is to get your backs in space. You're going to run them off with your 1 and 2 receivers, and you're going to chunk to the flats to your back. I don't know if we have that answer, though. I just don't know. I'm not saying we don't, just saying I don't know. So that's a big key, too. If you can get them in that heavy 3-4, take the nickel off the field because they'll move. What's his name? Metcalf will play nickel versus 11 spread sets, and then it'll turn into a free safety. But he stays on the field. But you can if you go heavy, they will give you 3-4.
Well, so 2 things about that. Metcalf is a guy who needs to keep the ball in front of him. He can't turn and run. So people have completed 70% of their passes against him.
Wow.
They're not going over the top on him, but he has to keep guys in front. He's a big physical tackler. Their star guy in DB is Jair Hill. He's their best man coverage guy. Interestingly, Texas fans may remember, he's the guy we picked on 2 years ago.
Oh, was it?
He's now evolved and become a better
The other one was Will Johnson.
Yeah, so we're going to be throwing to the other side when we attack. And then when they go big, and if you can just scroll up a little bit, Connor, when they do that big 3-4, you'd think, okay, they're going to spread you, you're going to try to spread them out a little bit. You got to hold up inside against those big bodies. Well, you can. Trey Pierce and Damon Payne are pure run stoppers. They're good against stopping the run. They're non-pass rushers. Now, I say that advisedly, given sometimes our left guard play, but Pierce and Payne are not pass rushers. Rayshon Benny can get a little pressure, and he's active. He's a better quality player. He's not really, you wouldn't define him as a pass rusher either. So when you get Michigan in base defense, they're not going to be able to bring a lot of pressure up the middle. And they used to supplement that with Barham and Moore coming off the edges, right, or Barham blitzing. Now they don't have that option. TJ Guy is a solid pass rusher. He's not incredible. And if he goes against Trevor Gooseby will rock him. So that's the interesting proposition here. So people are always like default, like we got to spread them out, right? We got to go 5 wide. Sark's idea of going double tight, getting them to go 3-4, and then actually throwing the ball might be the approach. Here's what I do if I was Wink Martindale. And Wink Martindale is not very flexible, but
yeah,
when we line up,
alarm going off.
Oh, there you go.
Here, you can keep.
When we go heavy, if I were Michigan, I would disrespect it and just stay in nickel. I would just say, you guys can't run on us. We've got run stoppers inside. We don't think your O-line's physical, and we don't think your backs are good. So
I would stay in nickel too.
I would just stay in nickel and just yawn and go, yeah, run the ball. We're not going to respect just because you're aligning with personnel. And that's something that whiteboard people struggle with, which is, well, they're in heavy personnel. We've got to go heavy D. No, you don't. If they can't run the ball, stay in your nickel.
Well, it's obvious, right? Texas couldn't run the ball with their starters. Now their top 3 backs to start the season are all gone. So now
that may not matter.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying? It's just like Texas couldn't run before. They're not going to be able to run after. Why are we going to respect it when they have less talent now?
Yeah, I would disrespect Texas and say, bully us. Yeah, you've got an advantage. We're in a nickel and you're running 12 personnel. Run the ball. Show us. And if you have a 7-yard run, we'll line up and dare you to do it again. Because actually that may lure us into a game plan into the muddy water that they want us in, which is a slow-paced game where it's like about running success, things we're not very good at. And so, if I'm Texas, I want to come out there in heavy personnel and then have Michigan go, oh, we got to put in our base, just default. And that's what I'm praying for. Well,
and these coaches, if they study, when we're in 12 personnel, we're bringing Townsend and injuries. These are past players. So we're only getting you can't take the bait. We're only putting you in 12 so we can turn around and throw to faster guys. So I agree. I would stay too high nickel, no matter what Texas does, because the goal of their 12 personnel is still to play action pass off of it. So don't bite.
Here's the other thing. Our receivers have struggled with longer, taller corners. They struggled against A&M and their size outside. And, Jair Hill, 6'2", 190. And their other corner, they've got one other corner. They kind of platoon their other corner spot. Those guys are big too. They've got a 6'5" safety, which is interesting. Good and bad.
Yeah.
So they've got size and height in their secondary, and they keep things in front of them, and they're not shy about pressing you or like kind of putting their hands on you a little bit, even when they're playing off coverage. So, if I were Michigan's D, I would just stay in nickel. I'd keep everything in front of us. I'd walk up a little bit on the edges and get my hands on Ryan Wingo and not allow those screens. And I would basically tell Texas, hey, run the ball. If you think you can run the ball on us, we'll tip our cap. But we don't think you can do it. We don't think you can execute it. And we're not just going to go out with default personnel because you line up in different types of personnel.
I agree 100%.
Don't clip this and send this to Wink Martindale, folks.
My favorite when people would comment.
We're going to lose.
Now the opponents know. It's like, guys, they have $1 million staffs that are advanced staff. If we give Michigan anything, I'd be honored. I'd be frankly honored. So this is the big thing. Well, I don't want to talk past yet, but Paul said a lot of things that are correct for how to play or how they should play the pass, but also how Texas could potentially exploit them. We'll see. Texas offense is more intact. So the Texas side of the offense should spread a little bit more because, like I said, our running backs are gone. Well, our running game sucked anyway, so it doesn't really matter that the running backs are gone. Same thing will kind of occur. So
I'm going to laugh so hard if Michael Terry drops 200 yards in this game. That's going to be amazing.
I would love it.
That'd be awesome.
Then you get the fun offseason with that. Defensive rushing explosivity, they're 6th. Their success rate is 42nd. That's okay. It's good, not great. But once again, this defense is going to keep things in front of them. Opponent yards per rush, 14th. Yards before contact, 22nd, which is good. Yards after contact, 50th, not great. And you see that like in the Michigan or the Ohio State game. They were able to get away from them several times. 53rd in missed tackle rate. Their defensive line has been a real impressive part of them that I was more surprised to see because I think of was it 2 years ago when we played Michigan? They've had some pretty good defensive lines over the years. It seems like they can do that, at least in the run game with Benny and the interior guys. Stuff rate, lower. But this is where you have some chances. So this is their pass defense. Now, Texas doesn't take advantage of this, which is frustrating. They're 101st in passing success rate because, like Paul kept saying, keep stuff in front, too high shell, keep an eye on them. They'll give you the lower stuff. They'll give it to you. But so they're going to say, look, if you can run, God bless you. And if you can string together 13 play drives consistently, God bless. But we're not going to give you the over-the-top stuff. They're 3rd in the country there at keeping the roof on the thing. So if you're a nickel and dime offense, you have a lot of success versus Michigan. Ohio State does this a lot. They'll hit you deep a couple times a game, but really Ohio State's an also very safe offense. And it was just saying dumping off, and it worked. But Texas is 96 in passing success rate, which is crazy. So it's not a lot of – I hear a lot of like spread them out and pick them apart. Hey, if Arch has turned that corner and Sark is willing to call that kind of a game and it works, that's the real answer. But – Sark likes to beat you on 6 plays a game. Sark doesn't beat you with the whole 70. Sark beats you with 6. And that's why Texas is 10th in the country in passing explosivity. This is our strength. But Michigan's 3rd here. So any thoughts on this part of the game, Paul?
Yeah, look at pressure rate, 6 in the country for Michigan. That is a function of Barham and Moore. So that's where the opportunity is for Texas. The idea is, you can cover and you can stay on top of stuff. But if you're not getting any pressure on Arch, eventually he's going to find an open guy. I mean, he's gotten so much better at going through his progressions. His receivers are catching the ball now. He still has weird hiccups right in front of him in the middle of the field, but everywhere else he's good. So there's an opportunity for Texas to actually be somewhat methodical. And again, I don't want to try to keep going back to schedule, but Michigan played like 3 or 4 offenses with a pulse. I mean, all season. And the other offenses they played, it's not like they were okay. They were wretched. So I just think if they can't get pressure and they're kind of playing that off, keep it in front of us coverage, I just got to think there's opportunities for us to move the ball. I got to think Jack Endries has the possibility of a big game. If not him, maybe some other Texas tight ends. Particularly if we make Nick Townsend like a backfield player. We make him Arch's personal protector, and we also flare him out and throw him the ball. I think that would be interesting. But I mean, I know that's not been our thing, but it's kind of set up for us to be methodical if Michigan can't get pressure.
Yeah, I mean, that's the easiest path here. It's just we haven't done that. So maybe 3 weeks of practice, we'll see. Now, Wink, they lose their pass rushers, but he's from the Baltimore tree, and they're known for their design pressures, their pick pressures, that kind of stuff. So even though they lose schematic or they lose to athletes, they're schematically very sound at forcing matchups. Their whole thing is trying to target running backs. You can watch Cody Alexander. Go type him on YouTube. He has a whole video on Martindale's pressures and how they're aligning to force running backs. And we don't know if we can pass protect at all.
Well, I can tell you,
they lose guys, they schematically can get to arch.
Christian Clark in limited snaps, albeit limited snaps, terrible in pass pro. No idea what he's doing. I can't assume Terry would be good at it coming in as a true freshman. He was kind of like a gadget player in high school, kind of played the win the game position, right? He wasn't doing a lot of blocking. I kind of like the Townsend idea that if you have a clear passing down, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 8, let's get Nick Townsend in the backfield. He'll be the personal protector. And then he can also offer passing value out of the backfield, flaring out, doing that. But yeah, a lot of Martindale's pressures, his zone pressures, are to get you to block on one side, one guy with 3, and then he's going to bring 3 on your 3, and that 3rd is going to be your running back taking on a linebacker who's firing or trying to get an edge coming off the edge. Wisner was good about putting his head in there and slowing those guys up. Baxter was okay, kind of overstated, frankly, that him as a blocker.
I agree.
But at least they knew what to do. Again, I kind of like the inside out idea. Have Endries run routes and have Townsend be the protector on 3rd and 7.
So just a key for the fans, if you just want a very basic understanding of this, anytime you see Michigan do a load front, meaning they've put more defenders than there are offensive linemen to a side, they're forcing the offensive line to slide one way so they can come from the backside and attack the running back. So just notice, why are there so many big guys outnumbering on the front? They're up to something, and they're going to attack you. So just be aware. So even though they don't have the athletes, he can schematically win here, and you're about to see that Texas all year has been in 3rd and a billion. So if we don't execute on 1st and 2nd down, which has been a huge issue for me in the Sarkisian offense, you're going to give these guys opportunities, and Martindale can design stuff even without his pass rushers. And it wasn't always his pass rush. I mean, it's his linebackers that is how they'll attack you, not necessarily the edge. So I'm watching for that is all I'm saying.
Well, something else you got to watch for if you're in the market for a house. You got to watch.
No, I don't even know where you're going with this, Paul.
I bet you don't. We're 43 minutes in. We're going to do an ad, Connor.
Okay, sure.
So here's the deal. I'll keep it short and sweet. Rates are going down. This is the biggest financial decision of your life. Go with a Texas X, former National Merit Scholar. Guy's got a law degree. He's one of the top originators in the great state of Texas, and he's a mortgage broker, which means he's going to go shop your deal to about 60 or 70 different wholesale lenders, and he's going to get the best possible deal for you. When you go to Big Bank USA, you're getting one offer from that big bank, and they'll tell you take it or leave it. They don't really care. They're still going to work their banker's hours. Gabe works broker's hours. He's going to make it work, and he's awesome at what he does. 832-557-1095. That's 832-557-1095.
Thank you, Gabe. You're the man.
Good
Overall, in their efficiencies, they are 33rd. Okay. This is where the matchup gets a little there's opportunity and there's risk. Standard down rates for Michigan's defense, they've actually been really bad here. They're 105th. Like, they're not ending up in great situations a lot. So to be 105th in standard downs and still be a 33rd defense, that's interesting. But it's like you said, the style, it's hard to explain, but Wink Martindale is aggressive with zone blitz, but it's still safe. They're still keeping 7 in coverage. They're falsifying. They're making you block guys that aren't going to be there. So it's the illusion of aggression. But really, they still keep a ton of guys in coverage. And because of that, they're going to stay back, and you're going to be able to kind of nickel and dime there a little bit. Texas, on the flip side, is really bad on offense and standard downs, meaning that they're perpetually in these bad situations. So that's going to be a big key. We'll see what gives here. They're 95th in average third down distance on D. Texas is 125th in third down distance on offense, meaning that we're not getting it done on first and second down consistently. This is the opportunity where Wink Martindale can draw up these things, increase their pressure rate. You would like to see a team that had far more standard downs when you're facing this style, but we don't have that. So that's one thing I look for. Are they going to be able to keep us in third and pass rush us effectively? Early downs EPA, proven by the average third down distance. They're 75th on early. Texas is 75th on early downs. All right. Let's see red zone. So they're 65th when you include field goals, but they're only 18th when it comes to scoring touchdowns. They are 18th when it comes to scoring touchdowns. So you might just end up with a bunch of threes here if you're Texas and not executing super properly. Sacks per game, they're 34th. Texas 86th. This is the potential worry I'm discussing. They're good at interceptions, but Texas doesn't throw a lot of them, so I expect Arch to continue that trend. They don't force a lot of fumbles, or they do. They don't force a lot, and we don't give fumbles, so this is kind of a who cares stat. And then let's see. Their tackling grade is 84th. So for a team that keeps the ball in front, you would expect them to rally and tackle better. But they don't. Anything here, Paul, about just actual situational football?
Yeah, I mean, again, a lot of this is skewed by schedule. Then also the Texas defense, do you believe it's fixed? And then all of a sudden you lose 6 starters. So we're kind of back to square one, right? I just think the Texas D, or I should say the Texas O, I mean,
it has gotten better slightly towards the end, but still these numbers went from 130th to 111. So it's not like a crazy turnaround. It's to me, it's like, can Arch hit explosive passes? And if that's not there, Texas has trouble.
Well, and not to get all, got to execute, sound like Jimbo Fisher here, but go down slightly. We are 132nd in penalties. They are 7th ranking. That's going to be a factor, right? Mm-hmm. Look, for all these bowl games, we probably could have saved ourselves an hour here, Homer. Whatever team wants to be there will win the game. That's kind of what it boils down to.
Did you see the Biff Poggi interview with Mac on his podcast? It was really good. It was.
Yeah, he also lied.
It was lied about what?
Oh, we're not going to have any players return. We're going to have as many as 25 opt-outs and all this nonsense.
I don't know if he was lying. He seemed despondent. Like that guy seemed like.
Well, he wasn't going to get the job.
Yeah, but he was pretty candid, and he pissed off a lot of Michigan fans who took his stuff out of context. Because basically he said, "Don't pray for Michigan as the team because we're playing y'all. So just pray for the health of the program." And Michigan fans just took the code of "Don't pray for Michigan to win," as that he was saying he doesn't want Michigan to win. So it's pretty wild. But he was far more candid than I imagined him to be, especially with a job at that point on the line. He was never going to get it, but.
I do think he thought he was going to get an interim job for a year. And I think he had just found out that he was not. They're hiring Kyle Whittingham. And so some Michigan fans think he went on there to sort of tank and create a sense of panic so that people would give him the interim for a year. And he was kind of trying to fight against those tides. That's what the Michigan kind of insiders think. So
maybe.
I'm not happy with him.
I thought he was far more honest than I.
Well, he's not honest because he said we're not going to have anyone come back after the Christmas break, but the entire team returned.
But he didn't. I don't know if he knew that at that point, because the whole conversation was about NIL and how you're getting poached, and he's like, "I'm dealing with calls every day. We just had these and he keeps alluding to further scandal that's not necessarily real programmatic rot. So just because it didn't happen, like he said, I don't know if the intent was to lie behind it. I didn't get that from the podcast.
Well, my guess is there's more going on at Michigan than just Sharon Moore, going
on. That's what he was kind of hinting at. And
I think there's more than just Sharon Moore going on OnlyFans at halftime at Michigan games, right? So, and, threatening people with butter knives. But There's a lot going on. I mean, that program's been pretty dirty and scandal-ridden for the past 5 years, on and off the field. And I'm sure there's a lot more behind the scenes that's been hidden. I'm shocked that the AD still has a job, but
me too. But I think Whittingham is a strong move. Weird how he left Utah. I guess were they pushing him out or something?
Yeah, they pushed him out.
Is that what it was?
He's 66.
I think he'll do good, but I always like to see the coaches that perform without a bunch of resource in a resource school. But the Pogge interview was interesting, and when I was listening to it on the trail running around, I was in a good mood. I was like, Michigan is gonna suck, and they haven't sucked. And he said today in the press conference I uploaded, they actually do have more opt-outs. They have like 13, not NFL opt-outs, but just kind of leave the front. But they're not frontline guys, so we don't really care as much. But he was a little bit too candid, and he pissed off. He pissed off the whole Michigan side. All right, our luck rating here. This has to be wrong. I don't know how it would go from. Let me check this out. I want to see if this is right. There's no way this is right. All right. Were we a high luck rating team? And no. I'm just forgetting. Yeah.
No, we were like this most of the year.
We were high luck rating.
No, we've been in like the 20s and 30s.
Okay, then we can get to 1. I was thinking we were like in the 80s. Okay, so it's possible that we got.
No, A&M was 1. Do you remember that? They were like the first in luck.
Yeah, let me see.
But their luck ran out in Austin and against Miami. Holy cow!
Oh, I'm an idiot, man. I'm reading the stat 1.
Yeah,
and I thought that was ranking 1. My brain switched. I was like, how did we get to first?
No, we're 31.
No, the number makes sense. The number makes sense. I totally got that backwards.
We've been normal in terms of breaks.
So both of these teams have normal breaks, which is fine, even though it's not sticky. Net field position, they're 30th, which is pretty good. Texas has been 3rd. Man, if this number wasn't high, this season could have went wild.
Well, so special teams, we haven't talked about that. Michigan doesn't do anything on special teams. Like their return game, they suck. They don't give up a bunch of stuff, which is fine. They sort of play defensive special teams, but their kicker is 3 of 6 from 30 to 39. He's actually been 7 of 10 from 40 plus, which is weird. That's maybe something to look at in a close game. But in their return game, Samaj Morgan, who's their slot receiver, has like 25 punt returns, and he's averaging 2 yards a return, which I didn't think was possible. But
he's not well liked. So
he's not good.
They've been talking about, and it's all rumor mill stuff, but just basically I can just sum it up with like disciplinary issues.
Yeah, he's apparently an idiot.
Where they're like, why is he not practicing or playing? And they're like, well, he's not injured and he's not, but they won't say what it is. And then all the rumors about what he did. But apparently he's been a total knucklehead behind the scenes as well. So the fans have pretty soured on Samaj Morgan.
Well, when Whittingham was hired, one of the Michigan starting offensive linemen commented, hey, I really like what we've heard from him so far because he's about discipline, taking care of business. And we've really strayed the last year in that regard. So Sharon Moore just wasn't off focus. He wasn't focused on the grind. He was focused on the wrong grind. But I think that spread to some other Michigan players. And
well, he's going and having his affairs at the apartment complex in which players live.
That's probably this is like the worst kept secret in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, right? The players would be like, "Why is my coach's car at 1 a.m. here?" And so it's like, so it's not even like. They were well aware of it, you know? So it's like, it's different if you're secretive and they don't know what you're doing at 11 p.m., but the team knows you're not even in it, you know? And so
this dude makes millions of dollars living in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Can you not have a driver drop you off? Like, yeah. Can we not think a little bit?
It was a horribly kept secret. And so it's that thing too. It's like the players knew that there was no accountability, not that he was just being secretive. So that's been a big factor. Texas 6th in strength of schedule this year. Michigan ends up at 29th. Paul points out that it's very top heavy. They got them up to 29th.
Playing Ohio State, and I guess OU actually kind of got them there, right?
SC too, because they're.
New Mexico, Central Michigan, Nebraska was trash. Wisconsin, terrible. Washington,
and they lost, and they win that. That's their only good win is Washington.
And Washington makes sense because they were the weakest of the 4 good teams they played. Michigan State, terrible. I know it has like a name, like a state school, and like you're familiar with them. They're terrible. Purdue, awful. Northwestern, I mean, somehow those guys went 7-6, not talented. Maryland sucked like they do every year. They really, like the beginning of the year OU, middle of the year USC, end of the year Ohio State, all 3 losses, all by double digits. Again, if Texas was at full strength, I'd take us to win by 20. But we're down a lot, so it'll be interesting.
I do. After watching all 22 and the stats, I feel far less confident than I did even 2 days ago.
You're usually brimming with optimism.
Well, I was, especially after that Pogge interview. I was like, oh, this is going to be a relaxing, enjoyable event. But I hadn't studied Michigan enough, clearly. But their schedule is the story of the Big Ten. You're going to play a few really good guys, and the rest of that, you're going to get wins.
It's a great league to play in if you're strategizing the playoff. Like, you really, that middle and bottom tier just is not threatening. It just isn't. You could play your worst game, as Michigan has done against Purdue's and Michigan, and against Maryland, and you're still going to come out with wins. Not Maryland, sorry, Purdue and Northwestern. The SEC, you kind of play off against a mid-tier SEC team, and it's at their place, and there's freaking 95,000 people there. It's just not the same. But then the Big Ten has some really good marquee teams that carry the brand, and it's a perfect conference to play in.
It really is. All right, we're good, Paul.
We're good.
We're good, brother. We've been able to make it through all of this. We're gonna shoot a deep dive for y'all. That'll come out later today, so be on the lookout for that. We're on the adjusted schedule because the game's on Wednesday. And then at noon, we're going to have a roundtable for you live with the whole crew. So make sure to tune into that. But great content coming your way. And then, of course, tomorrow for the actual game, usual game day stuff.
And roundtable, we're supposed to make score predictions in a game where we're down 9 starters.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, you're going to make awesome score prediction. I'm sure all of you guys are going to nail it and get it absolutely right.
And by the way, for all I know, Texas or Michigan is going to go out till 4 a.m. the night before the game. Like, you have these bowl games now, especially more than ever. You have no idea who's going to show up and play.
You have no idea. And it's such brutal. Just today, take mental note of who cares about the game. And then if there is a loss, take note of immediately who switches their position on go to Twitter. It'll immediately
could be me.
If you win, it matters. If you lose, it doesn't matter.
That could be me.
That's the rules.
We have a springboard to 2026 with a win.
Yep.
And with a loss, Ian will go the many troubling questions route. And I'll go it's irrelevant. It's a bowl game. We probably didn't even try.
Well, to me, what I'm most excited for is just to watch all 22 of the defensive backs.
Just like shrugging before.
As long as they're not getting beat 30 times, I'm just being like, wow, Robertson is pretty fast. Like, that's really what I'm looking forward to. Guys, I want to see you head over to Inside Texas and hang out with us. 50% off, Ultimate Fan Bundle. You're going to get Inside Texas. Hell yeah. And then you're going to get On 3 and Rivals on top of that. So the Nationals side, college football news on 3, and then, of course, Rivals, now the main place for all your recruiting excitement. Look over the comments. Make sure we're all good here. We are. Y'all, like I said, tune in. We're going to have some good content for the rest of the day. And this was IT Live, and it was brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. See you guys later.